All right, welcome to another Finance Friday. This is Jerry Feta, CEO and founder of Wealth Dynamics. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope you had a great week. Real quick, guys, if you've tuned in for the first time, you've not seen my stuff before. I've been doing Finance Friday every year now for about 5 years without fail. And this is really a focus on spreading and sharing financial education, right? And I want to give you an example of this, okay? We've all had debt before, right? Consumer debt, we've tried to pay off the debt. We want to get rid of the debt. Guess I had a conversation with a guy today, and he has paid off $55,000 in debt, right? And this is something where he's like, okay, good. I paid off $55,000 in debt in the last 18 months. I've been doing really good with that. And so what I shared with them, I was like, that's awesome. That's really good. But what if there was a better way to do that? And so I shared with them a concept that we finance every dollar we bring into our personal economy. And personal economy is the actual root origin definition of the word economy. It's your own household, right? So every dollar that you bring into your household, you're financing, you're paying interest on it. Option number one is you're paying interest because you're borrowing money from others, right? So he's like, yeah, I get that. Okay. Option number two is you're losing out on interest you could be earning because you get rid of the money and it's not invested, it's not growing, it's not making future value for you. That's called opportunity cost. So sharing with him with his debt, I was like, hey, this 55,000 you paid off. What if it was still growing for you today? What if you were earning 4% on it today? Right? And so we looked at the math on that. And in 5 years, he would have about 60,000, right? In 10 or 15 years, he would have doubled his money already, right? And so I shared with him, there's a concept that you can put money in something called a sacred account. You could have used that to pay off the 55,000. All of it would still be growing for you today, right? And you wouldn't need to worry about whether or not that money would be there working for you in the future. And so I wanted to share that with you because that is an excellent example of what knowledge can do. When you get knowledge, you get information that you didn't before have. That knowledge allows you to do stuff that you wouldn't do otherwise, right? It allows you to implement and execute ideas that you wouldn't think of otherwise, right? And so it's really important that as we're learning, we're looking at this as saying, okay, good. Like I'm not just here tonight to say things about money and have you be like, wow, that was nice. Okay, I really want you to take what you're learning, the information I'll share tonight, and I want you to apply it. Okay, we have this phrase, knowledge is power, which is only halfway true. Knowledge applied correctly is power. Okay, knowledge applied correctly is power. So, guys, here's the topic I want to share with you. I want to talk this evening, and I've got to be careful how I say this so I don't get in trouble on any of my social media channels, right? So we're not going to talk about any specific names of people, but we're going to talk about the fact that it is an election year. Okay, it is an election year, and I'm hearing more and more that that's a concern. And every 4 years, it is a concern. We see that the stock market starts getting shaky, right? We had a gigantic stock market crash a little while back. Interest rates are still very high. Inflation isn't doing us any favors. And we add in the uncertainty of an election. Okay, so I want to talk about that tonight. I want to talk about, what is it that we would do in a scenario like this where it's an election year? Okay, how do we protect our downsides? Right? How do we make sure that we keep our financial house going? We keep our wealth being built and we avoid unnecessary risks during an election season. Okay. So guys, here's the first thing. I want to go into a couple of terms. The first one is the definition of an economy, right? What is an economy? And if you look at the definition of economy, okay, because we're going to hear a lot about the economy. We're going to hear about the economy is this and that, and the economy is something we need to pay attention to. It's something we need to be worried about, etc. And so I want to go into what does that actually mean? Because oftentimes what I've found is we get into these, very specialized terms and definitions, and we don't actually know what they mean. We don't actually have an understanding of, well, what is an economy and how does that impact me? And what should I be doing about it, right? So the dictionary defines, we're going to use dictionary.com. Let me just pull this up on Google, actually. Definition of economy. Okay. The definition of economy. Here's the first one. The wealth and resources of a country or region, especially in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services. The wealth and resources of a country or region, right? So what does that mean? It means the money, the production, the natural resources, the business resources of a country or a region. It could be a state. It could be a city. It could be a neighborhood. It could be an entire country. It could be a continent, right? So here's the thing I want to point out first When you talk about the economy, which one? Which one are you talking about? Because you'll hear, oh, the economy isn't doing well. What is the economy? Are you talking about the American economy? Are you talking about the Alaskan economy where I'm from? Are you talking about the Florida economy? Are you talking about the economy of your city? Are you talking about your personal economy? Right? So it's of a region, especially in terms of production and consumption of goods and services. What does that mean? Production and consumption of goods and services. Okay, production, like to actually create work, to bring value, to bring forth something that other people want and need and exchange it with them. That's production. Okay, consumption, to take something in, to usually use it, to waste it, to burn it, to take a resource and actually cannibalize or catalyze it. Okay, you would use a resource like fuel, you would consume it. Your car consumes it, it burns it up, it's gone. Okay, so that would be an economy, producing and then the consuming of goods and services, of wealth and resources within that economy. Okay, so check this out. Second definition, careful management of available resources. So that would be like, using economy. I would be, practicing economy with my driving if I was being careful of the fuel, right? How much do I hit the gas? Okay, now here's the nice definition. I want to give you, this is a kind of a cool way of thinking about it, right? So you have scrimping and saving as a definition. But if you go to the origin, okay, if you go to the origin, there's a Greek origin of the word economy, and it means household management. Household management. Okay, that's your house, your family, the management of your household, the management of your family. Okay, and if we look at this first definition of the wealth or resources of a country or a region, isn't your family a region? Your household, that's a region. You're on the map somewhere. So the definition of an economy most certainly does apply to you. Okay, now I talk about this in my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom, and I want to find this on a particular chapter where I get into what is an economy. Okay, and there's a chapter called Understanding Money. So I'm going to go to this, and if you guys are following along, let me just find my page here. Chapter 2, that's going to be page 127. Okay, and this is my book, Blueprints to Financial Freedom. So if you guys have this, you want to follow along, go ahead. I will give you a free copy of this at the end of the webinar. So if you don't have it, you can grab that. Okay, but this is a chapter called Understanding Money. Okay, Understanding Money. So, and I'm not going to go into the whole chapter. I want to pick a couple of points here that are important. Okay, when we think about, money, one of the first things that I think about, and this is on page 129, it's the concept of bartering. Right, so in the book, I talk about bartering. What is bartering? It is me trading the fruits of my labor for the fruits of someone else's labor. If I work and create or produce something valuable, I can trade with someone else who worked and produced and created something I thought was valuable, right? So we don't use barter anymore because we have, paper dollars and digital dollars and these various things, but that's how it was back in the day, right? So if you were a blacksmith and you produced products and services in that area, people wanted them, right? You produced them. And then basically what would happen is you would say, okay, good. Now I have, the products I've produced as a blacksmith. That person might have a farm and they've got dairy and I want milk and I want cheese and I'm going to trade what I have for what they want. Okay. And so it starts to get, directly in this economy thing. If I produce metal products and they're wanted and needed, if I produce more metal products than I consume in other goods and services, I have a surplus in my economy. Think about this. Like, let's say I produce wheat. If I produce more wheat and I export more wheat and I do that more than I consume the stuff I'm getting, I end up with a surplus. Right? And that surplus becomes the excess resources, the wealth that I have. So I have an economy that's doing well because I have more surplus. Wealth is surplus, abundance. Now, if I consume more than I produce, as we would know, I take in more than I actually produce, I end up with a deficit. Okay, so that's the basics of an economy. Now, I want to skip a couple of pages here. Okay, so this is talking about the movement of money. This is on page 133. Money is always moving. It naturally moves in a way where I lose it or its value while I keep it. I lose it or its value while I keep it. The gears of our current economic system make me an automatic consumer by nature of money going down in value over time. So what did we talk about? Consumption means typically I'm taking a resource and I'm expending it. Right? When I consume the fuel in my car, it means I'm expending the fuel. I'm getting rid of the gas. What happens when you save money in a bank account? It goes down, right? So you're consuming the money by saving it. See what I mean there? It's the same effect. You might as well have spent it. It's gone either way. So in the book, I talk about that, right? So it actually moves even while I keep it. The gears of our current economic system make me an automatic consumer by nature of money going down in value over time. So if you think about a stream, unless I paddle upstream and reverse its natural impulse so that I do gain money, this then makes me the producer and others the consumer. So money naturally goes down in value. That's the flow of the current. Money is an energy flow. Money is a current. It flows from one location to the other. Right now, naturally, if I don't control the flow, it's going to flow against me. It goes down in value. It becomes less potent with its purchasing power. So I have to actually swim upstream against the current. I've got inflation working against me. I've got taxes working against me. Right? I've got the cost of living working against me. Okay. So this makes me the producer when I swim upstream against the current. It makes others the consumer. But just like paddling upstream, it takes work. I must work to make money. In lieu of work, I could also take ingenuity. So I could invent a motor and a rudder and have my whole trip become effortless. So with money, I can be floating down the river and oblivious to the fact that I'm a consumer and losing money to the producers of the world. Okay, so here's the concept I want to give you. And let me finish this sentence before I jump into my visual and sketches that on the whiteboard. Okay, so I can realize that I'm losing money to the producers of the world, or I can realize this and decide to work hard and fight it by trading more time for money, or I can realize it and decide to use my ingenuity to get me up the river with less effort, being an investor or an entrepreneur. These are the three main classes of economic awareness and understanding. So we've got the consumer, we've got the person who's going to just say, oh, I'm losing, inflation is tough, taxes are tough, it's an election season, this, that, I'm the victim. We've got the guy that's going to say, I'm going to roll my sleeves up and I'm going to work hard. And we've got the guy that's saying, hey, I'm going to come up with bright ideas and I'm going to find the smart way rather than the hard way. My challenge to you is to understand money well enough to use it. Okay, so check this out, guys. Election year or not. Now, I'm going to pull up my whiteboard. So I want to give you guys a visual on this. Election year or not. It is important for you to realize this concept I'm going to share with you. So we talk about this word economy, right? And you'll hear sometimes this phrase, the global economy, okay? Show me a like, show me a hand if you've heard that before, the global economy. So what would that mean? That would mean the wealth, the resources, the production, and the consumption of the world at large as a whole. So I want you to imagine that there is a global pool of money. Okay, let me grab my pen here. I want you to imagine that there is a global pool of money. This is the global economy. And this is a global pool of money. And there's one pool and all of us use the same pool. Now you can have subsets of this pool. You've got the United States, they have a little part of the pool. Inside that, you've got various states and cities. You've got Europe, they've got part of the pool. Right? You've got Asia, you've got Russia, right? You've got the Middle East, you've got all these different areas of the pool, but it's all just one pool. It's just one global economy. And the way it works is value is put into the pool, contributed, and value is extracted from the pool. Now, this is different than producing and consuming. I want you to remove that thought because you're going to think, oh, that he's saying, produce and consume. No. So the pool of money, you contribute to it. Everyone contributes to that pool. You take your money and you send it places. Maybe you send it to your 401k. Maybe you send it to your mortgage payment. Maybe you send it to the grocery store. Maybe you send it to an investment, right? Everybody is contributing to the pool at some ratio. Okay, does that make sense so far? We all spend money or invest money or give money, and we would give it, it goes into this common global economy pool. And you might have your city, house, neighborhood, state, country within a subset of that pool. Okay, now the question is the extraction from the pool. The extraction from the pool. There are people who extract value out of the global economy pool. This is not the same as spending money. Spending money is this. Putting money in, this is spending, investing, donating, paying of taxes, all of that stuff. This is the deployment of capital, the value contributed to the pool, right? This is the extraction of the value. Okay, so we all evenly have the opportunity to contribute value to the pool. Okay, you can even contribute value. It doesn't even have to be money. It can be ideas. It can be work, right? But you're flowing something into this common global economy pool. And I want you to ask yourself this: how much are you getting out for your efforts? How much value are you extracting back out of this global economy pool, the singular pool of money that exists, of value that exists? Because that's all money is it's a representation of value. Right? Value has no barriers. Value has no languages. Value has no ethnicities. Value is value, right? It's either needed and it helps or it's not, right? Regardless of barrier. So if you're putting money in, that's great. If you're putting effort in, that's great. If you're putting ideas in, that's great. But I'm asking you, how much are you getting out? Okay, because here's what happens in an election year. We're all doing our thing. Value contributed, value contributed, value contributed. Okay? We have something happen like the stock market crashes. The stock market is a zero-sum game. What that means is you bought a share of a stock, you contributed value into the global economy pool through the form of buying mutual funds and stocks in your retirement account. You put the money in. Someone else took the money out. Someone else extracted the value. Stocks don't just lose money. The difference went somewhere. Money doesn't just disappear, right? It only exchanges hands. Okay, you can say, I lost money, but the truth is the money went to someone else. Someone else extracted the value from the pool. Okay, 2008, let's rewind back, several years. The mortgage crisis in 2008, home values lost. Okay, your home didn't partially disappear, right? You didn't literally have money go poof into thin air. No, someone else got that. There was an exchange there. Someone else got the value. They realized the value. In this case, it was the banks. They took the value out of the pool, which caused you to lose the value you could take out of the pool. Okay, now here's what I'm getting at is during an election year, the symptom becomes exaggerated of other people in other groups are extracting more value from the pool than we are. Right? Oh, taxes went up. Okay, so I'm now putting more into the pool and I'm complaining that taxes went up. Why? Because I don't extract any value out of the pool with that. Oh, inflation, cost of goods went up. I pay more for groceries. I'm putting more into the pool. Why do I complain about that? Because I'm not pulling out of the pool. I'm not extracting an equivalent amount of value out of the pool. Right? If they were like, hey, bread went up, but don't worry, we enhanced it with vitamins so that you live longer and will never get cancer, you wouldn't care about the price of bread going up, would you? You'd be like, well, no, because I'm extracting value out of the pool. Okay, so we hear these rumblings of economic uncertainty, and what if I invest and lose money? What if the housing market crashes? What if the stock market crashes? What if taxes go up? What if this goes up? And what we're really talking about is what if we're having to put more money into the pool and we get less out? And I want you to realize when you get less out, it's because someone else took it instead of you. It didn't just, either that or it's still there and your perception of what's available isn't very bright. That would come down to your economic understanding, your financial training. Okay. Sometimes what happens is we don't know that there's a pool there. We just know that we send money on the other side of this line and we don't know what happens to it. And we have no idea that we could be pulling and extracting value out of the pool because we don't have the perception of what's there. Guys, in this pool, if you were to count up all of the money and all of the assets and all of the wealth that exists on the entire planet, the number would be astronomically large. Okay, but I'm going to give you an example. You will meet people who will say there isn't enough money to go around. Oh, those wealthy people, they're so greedy and selfish, they don't leave anything for anybody else. Okay, that person has very low awareness on how to know there's actually a pool of value there and they could also be extracting from it. Okay, now extraction, it needs to happen in ethical means. Obviously, you don't rip people off to extract value from the pool. You do a right and fair exchange. But what I'm talking about is your value contributed should lead to value extracted. If you are putting money into the economic pool, you're spending, you're dispersing, you're sending money out, and your money that you're sending out isn't bringing money back into you, you're playing the money game wrong. You're playing the money game wrong. So I want to share with you what we are doing, what I am doing this election year. I've created my own pool. Okay, my pool is called the Sacred Account. We've got the Global Economy Pool. Right, then we've got my pool here, slightly smaller, but still it's a pool. We'll call this the Pool of Theta. It's the Theta pool, right? So what I do is I flow all of my value into my own pool first. Value contributed. Goes into my pool. This is called the Sacred Account. It's a life insurance policy. When I flow money into this pool first, I will extract 3 to 5% per year, tax-free, for the rest of my life, guaranteed against loss, been around for 200-something years, no matter what I do with the money next. Okay, so the average person, they take, $1 and they flow that dollar into the grocery store and they buy groceries with it and that dollar is gone forever. Okay, they don't have their own little pool here. They put it first immediately into the global pool and then they lose access. They don't extract anything out because the dollar is gone, right? So what I do is I say, okay, good. I'm going to take the value. I'm going to contribute it to my pool. Then from my pool, I'll flow it into the global pool. But here, what I've done is I've captured it. I've captured the value of this, and it's going to get this 3 to 5% per year for the rest of my life, guaranteed tax-free, even while I use the money for other things in the global pool, right? I'm able to then extract money out, value extracted, because of the fact that I'm recapturing and I'm recycling my wealth. Okay, now you might hear like, oh, Jerry, I've heard you don't do life insurance from these guys online and the Dave Ramseys and the Susie Ormans and this and that. The concept I'm talking about, you can look it up. It's called the Sacred Account. You can go to sacredaccount.com and check it out. But it's a form of whole life insurance, a very specialized form. It's high early cash value dividend paying whole life insurance. Now, the number one owner and purchaser of this exact kind of life insurance, I'll have you know, are the largest banks on the planet. I'll give an example. The bank that I bank with for my credit cards and my checking account, Bank of America, they have on their balance sheet over $20 billion in this exact type of life insurance, more than they have in real estate, right? So be careful what you label a scam. Again, just because your awareness level is low, your perception of what's out there is low. This is an asset class that the wealthy have been using. If you've eaten at a McDonald's, it's because Ray Kroc started it with this exact kind of life insurance policy. If you've been to Disneyland, Disney World, it's because Walt Disney started his amusement parks with the exact same kind of life insurance policy, right? Teddy Roosevelt, right here on my desk here, right? Teddy Roosevelt, he had over $1 million in his New York life insurance policy cash value. This is the exact kind I'm talking about today. This is over 100 years ago, guys. Okay, so Teddy ain't stupid. So if you've not heard of this, like I would extremely like let's push you in the direction of learning right now. I would really press you and say, hey, put your learning hat on and go study and get this thing figured out, right? But it allows you to put money in the global pool, and no matter what happens, you're going to extract value either way. Why? Because you're putting it in a mechanism that gives you that value extraction regardless of what happens. Now, here's the beautiful thing. What if I did both? What if I put the money towards the global pool? And let's say I did that in the form of investing in real estate, and that real estate is going to pay me value as well. Plus, I've got this recapture from my own pool of value happening in addition to that. Okay, and the reason I want to share this with you today is here's what's going to happen, during an election year. We're going to have one of two things occur for most people. There's a third one I'll get to last, but most people are going to fall into one of these two categories. Number one, you are going to lose. You're going to lose money in your retirement accounts because it's in the stock market. You're going to lose money in your real estate, and it's going to just overall be a bad experience. Inflation's going to happen. Taxes are going to happen. Look what happened last time, right? We literally had riots in the streets. Right? So if you're the average person, you're like, well, just keep swimming and just keep swimming and just keep doing what I usually do and just try not to look up and have to not confront these things that are going on, you're going to lose value. You're going to put value in the pool and you're not going to get more than you put in out of the pool. You're going to fall behind. And that's like 80 to 90% of America. Okay. The second thing that's going to happen is you're going to sit on your cash. And I'm not going to tell you this is a bad idea because right now that's what Warren Buffett is doing. Warren Buffett is selling out of, big shares of Apple and these other companies he's been holding for a while. He's getting ready with cash. Now, Warren's doing it for a different reason. Warren's doing it because he sees opportunities are coming up. The average person is not going to sit on their cash because they see opportunity coming up. They're going to sit on their cash because they are in fear. They're acting out of fear. Okay, let me tell you what, fear is a place you should never make decisions from. Fear is an emotion you should never trust. Nothing good, nothing logical, and nothing that's going to help you build freedom in your life is going to come from a position of fear. The idea of I have scarcity, I have lack, what if it doesn't work? What if this? Oh no, what about that? Those thoughts will never help you. Never have, never will. The only thing they will ever do and they've ever done is hold you back. So those that are sitting in cash out of fear, I've saved up my 10,000 or my 100,000. There's people sitting on $1 million plus that are operating out of fear. Why are they operating out of fear? Because they don't know how to contribute that money to the value pool and get back more than they put. That's the only reason. So what they're saying is, well, I'm not going to flow it into the pool. I'm not going to, and here's the problem with that. Money is a current. Money is a flow. So if you take a flow or a current and you say, well, I'm not going to let it do the thing it's designed to do, it's going to end up harming you. It's going to end up self-destructing. Think about, like when I was a kid, I used to stick my finger in the outlet. I'm not afraid to admit that. Everyone did that at least once. Raise your hand if you stuck your finger in the outlet or show me a like or something, okay? I did that more than once, one time with a screwdriver. It's okay. I'm here today, right? But I learned very quickly, if you don't touch someone else, you get the shock. Otherwise, you act as the conduit. It flows through you and it goes and it shocks someone else. Or if you ground yourself, you don't get shocked because it flows and it hits the thing you're grounded with. Okay, so if money is a flow, it's energy, it's a current. What is energy supposed to do? It's supposed to be used. A use of money is not sitting on it. A use of money is not conserving it. The use of money, it'd be like if you had a river and you were like, well, I'm going to just try and keep all the water from moving. Okay, you would be exhausted. You would live a very frustrated life because the water wants to move. Very beginning, I read from the book, the water, the money wants to move so badly that if you sit on it, it's still going to move and it's going to move down in value against you because it moves. It's energy, guys. It flows. You get to pick where it flows to and what the flows do, but it's going to flow without you or with you. You might as well figure out, how do I take control of the flowing so that the current works in my favor? I build the boat, I do the motor thing, and I ride the current, and I let the work be done for me because I figure out how the flow works. Right? Now, here's the reason why people do this. We trade our time for money. Don't we? We trade our time for money. And for us, time represents a lot of things. Benjamin Franklin said, don't squander time, for that's the stuff that life is made out of. For us, time is possession. Like we all want more time, right? We measure the condition of our materialistic items in time. Change. Time is change, isn't it? Things age, they change, they look different in the future than they did in the past. If you had something or someone that never changed, you would say it was timeless, right? So time is possession. Like we want time. So we get rid of our time to get money. We don't realize money is energy. So then instead of taking the money and using that to increase our knowledge or get more money or buy our time back, we then take the money and we buy stuff. Why? Because we're trying to fill the possession we just lost with more possession. I don't have the time, but I can at least have a car. I don't have the time anymore, but I can at least have a nice pair of shoes. Right? Like we're trying to build up our possession. We lost a possession, we've got to replace it. So people just do this back and forth, back and forth. Trade the time for money, trade the money for stuff. Trade the time for money, trade the money for stuff, back and forth. What if you traded the time for money, then you traded the money for knowledge? And that knowledge gave you more money. And that money then gave you more time or more stuff, but you had more as a result. Or what if you traded your time for money instead of trading the money for stuff, you traded the time for money, and then you traded the money for something that made you more money? This is the decision you make when you put into the value pool. In what way do I do it? Do I put money into the value pool, and then because I lost the money, I've got to pull out stuff because I lost my time? Or do I put money into the value pool and then I look at how do I pull out of this thing knowledge? How do I pull out of this thing more money? How do I pull out of this thing fulfillment? Because all of that's in the value pool. It wouldn't be called a value pool if it didn't have all of the valuable things in it. You just don't know how to extract the things you want yet. So we blame it on a president. We blame it on a stock market. Right? And the truth is that this planet is no shortage of money. It is also has no shortage of tricks and traps. They're going to be politicians. Their goal is to rip you off. I literally saw a video today of my buddy, and he was reading an article, and it was the top 6 ways. Okay, the top 6 ways to become a millionaire in the United States. Guess, I can't even say this without laughing. Guess what way number 1 was? Become a politician. Okay, the proverbial child living in mom's basement doesn't produce much value for anybody, right? One of the top ways somehow to become a millionaire. They're out there. Welcome to planet Earth. What about banks taking advantage of us? There's no shortage of that either. Welcome to planet Earth. What about a stock market that is designed literally to rip you off? Sole purpose of the stock market, and I'll prove it to you right here, right now. Why do companies go public? Because at one point they were private. So the purpose of a publicly traded stock would be for a privately owned company to cash out its owners. The owners bring a private idea, they get more capital, they get an infusion of cash, they get rich off of the sale, and then the company can expand. That's called an initial public offering. Initial. Like very first, you offer it public first. That was the transaction. That's the reason and the purpose a company goes public. Now, here's the little caveat. You have something called pre-IPO, pre-initial public offering. So you have the initial public offering, but then you have the pre-initial public offering, which means you have the initial offering the public can get, but then before the public can get it, all the big boys on Wall Street get to load up on it first, which is the real initial public offering. That's the initial private offering, if you will. Pre-IPO, there's an initial private offering for the stock. The shareholders already got rich. That happened on the pre-IPO. The real owners that sold their private company. Then you've got the initial public offering. Well, guess what that one's for? The guys who bought during the pre-IPO to get rich. They're cashing out to you. They don't want to just have the private guy sell to you. They want to have the private guy sell to them so that they can take the money in the stock that they just bought and sell it to you and make a profit off of you. There's a middleman there. Now, if all of that has happened, why do stocks still trade after the initial public offering has taken place? It's called the secondary market, right? Like the IPO already happened. So then why are we trading stocks back and forth when the company already went public, the owners already got cashed out? At that point, we're literally gambling. Oh, I think this one's going to do better. We're just trading them back and forth at that point. We're trying to make money off of each other. Do you see that? The company that issued the stock already made the money. The Wall Street firms already made the money on selling it to the public market in the first place. The public market is you and I now trying to make money off of each other with someone else's gain on a field created by Wall Street. Guess what? Wall Street wins every time. Doesn't matter which, if I win and you lose, it's because I took your money. If you win and I lose, it's because you took my money. Either way, Wall Street's going to make a fee or a commission. That's out there. Welcome to planet Earth. So what should you be doing this election year? You should be investing in yourself. Okay, Benjamin Franklin says an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. If that's true, imagine what an investment in financial knowledge pays. 2023, collectively, all working Americans lost $388 billion due to the lack of financial training. Financial illiteracy. Financial illiteracy cost us $388 billion. That is $388 billion we collectively flow into the value pool and get nothing back on. What if you could recapture that? What if you could recapture the money that you're paying on your credit cards? I'll give you a story right now before I wrap up tonight. I had a client last week text me, and this was his idea, not mine. So I want to give him full credit on this because he studied, he read the books, he's been doing the training. He's been a client of mine for about 5 years now. And he's like, you know, Jerry, I think I want to do real estate. And he's like, no, Jerry, I think I want to buy precious metals. And he had his money in his sacred account. He had, you know, over 100,000 in there in the sacred account built up. Right. And he's thinking about, well, what do I do with this? Where do I flow it in the value pool? Right. So he's like, maybe I do real estate, maybe I do gold. And he just couldn't make up his mind. He's like, you know, either way, I don't feel comfortable right now. Investing in real estate, I don't feel comfortable right now. These are not my words, they're his. I feel very comfortable investing in real estate right now because of the way I do it. He didn't. That's one of the rules of money is if it doesn't make sense to you, don't do it. So investing in real estate is like, it didn't make sense to me, I'm not going to do it. So then he's looking at precious metals and he's like, I don't know if I want to do that either. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think I'm going to do it. And he's like, the money's in my life insurance policy. And he's like, right now, I have a mortgage. And I flow money every month into the value pool on the mortgage and I pay interest and I don't really get anything back on that. So he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a loan against my sacred account and I'm going to pay off the house. I'm going to pay off my mortgage. I'm going to put the money to work. I'm going to flow it into the value pool. I'm going to pay off that debt. And I'm going to get back all of the interest I would have paid on my mortgage. I'm going to get back all the payments I would have flowed towards that mortgage. Right? And guess what? Guaranteed. The life insurance that he borrowed against is guaranteed to grow. It's guaranteed not to lose. The interest he would have paid on his mortgages that now he doesn't have to, he's guaranteed to keep that in his pocket now. The payments he would have made on that mortgage that he doesn't need to pay anymore and he can keep his own income, he's guaranteed to have that. But he was able to make that decision because he knows. He knows, he studies, he's trained. If you're not trained, you can't make these decisions. You have to rely on, well, what do you think? Right? And the person you're asking, well, what do you think? They happen to work for banks and Wall Street. What do you think they're going to tell you? Put money in my thing. Put money in my savings account. Put money in my retirement plan. Put money in my mutual funds. Buy my stocks. Why do you think they're saying that? They work for banks and Wall Street. It's the definition of the fox guarding the hen house. Okay, so if you have cash on the sidelines, like the first thing I would look at is I would say if you have cash on the sidelines because of fear, not because of opportunity. Opportunity means this is a current and I'm building it up, I'm storing it up, I'm letting it generate so I can get a mega flow over to whatever the next thing is. It's like using the force. That's what Warren Buffett's doing. That's very different. But if you're like, I don't know, and I've got to protect and I've got to keep it and I don't want it to be lost and it can't go anywhere. Okay, you're acting out of fear. And guess what? If that's you, you are mishandling energy. You're mishandling energy. And I'm going to pick on you really quick. You're not going to like it, but it's going to be funny. So I'm going to do it. Okay. The equivalent of hoarding money, I want you to think about if you had food, you got food, because what is food? Food is energy, isn't it? It's energy for your body. If I ask you, what is the purpose of food? Very straightforward answer: to eat it. You're not confused about that at all. You're not like, well, I think you fix cars with it, or you build a house, or no, none of that. You eat food. Food is for eating. That's the only thing it's for. If you don't eat it, it spoils. There's no joke or mystery about that. You're just like, yeah, if I don't eat the food, it gets bad. So I need to eat it before it goes bad. Money is the same way. Money is energy, just like food is energy. You put the food in your body, it burns, and it's measured in something called calories. You put the money in your economy, and it burns or gets used, and it's measured in something called dollars. Same difference there. So I want you to imagine if you were to take your current behaviors with money and do that with food instead. Like you get some chicken, and instead of cooking the chicken and having it for dinner, you're filling your pockets with it. You're like hiding it in your bedroom closet. You go in the bathroom and it's like you've got like just in case the COVID happens again, you've got a bunch of extra toilet paper, and then you've got stockpiles of chicken under there too. And you've just got chicken hidden everywhere in your house, and you're like, I don't know what to do with the chicken. And I'm afraid that if I misuse it, I'm not going to have any more chicken. And I want the chicken, but I also don't want the chicken. I know I should do something with the chicken, but I don't know if I want to eat the chicken because then the chicken will be gone. And you just end up being a hoarder of chicken. You would be flipping crazy, wouldn't you? Okay, you're doing that with money. You are doing that with money. You're hoarding it. You're like, I want it, but I don't want to spend it, but I've got to spend it, but also it's evil, but I want to invest it, but I got to save it, but I don't want to save it because money is bad to save and savers are losers, but I feel bad when I don't save it and I'm afraid. And you just end up hoarding and doing nothing. Okay, those of you that if you were to eat too much of the chicken, more than you burn, and you get fat, same thing. If you spend more money than you have, you go into debt. That's the financial equivalent of being fat. Sorry to say it that bluntly, but that's it. So if you looked at like someone that's like, they eat less calories than they burn, or they're at maintenance, and they eat healthy, and they don't have a bunch of, random food laying around their house, and they keep a clean kitchen and all this stuff, you'd be like, that person understands food. They're healthy, they're in good condition, they don't have food in weird places where it shouldn't be, it's in their fridge, they eat it before it goes bad. And we would look at that and be like, that's normal, that should be expected. But with finances, we're like, well, I don't know if I want to do all that work. Right? That's literally it. Like, I don't know if I want to do all that work. I'd have to change so many things that I do. Okay? Nothing changes with your finances until you change something that you do. Right? So guys, I'm going to wrap it up on this note. I'm starting to digress into talking about chicken and other items. So we're going to wrap it up on that note. But I want to share something with you really quick before we wrap up tonight. Okay? So if you are watching this and you have not read my book, you've not read my book, Blueprints to Financial Freedom. Okay, I want to give you a free copy right now. So if you scan the QR code, go ahead and scan it, or go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, or scan the QR code. You can get a free copy of the book, right? And that's going to give you more of what you learned tonight. I talked with someone today, right? And they were mentioning to me, and they're like, hey, they just signed up for Wealth Dynamics University, which is our online financial training program, right? Top financial training program on the planet. They're going to be setting up their own sacred account. And he's like, the reason why I reached out, because I like to know these things. He's like, I've been watching you on social media. I've been watching you on YouTube. And he said, Jerry, the reason I reached out is your message is different. Your message is different. He's like, you're not telling me to wait till I'm 90. You're not telling me to rely on the government. You're not telling me to rely on Social Security. You're telling me that I can build wealth now. I can live a wealthy life now. I can use my money now. Right? And that's the financial equivalent of a dietitian or a chef saying like, hey, eat your dinner. You got a delicious plate of food in front of you, dig in. That's what it's for. Not, what if you don't have food tomorrow? You should really save that. By the way, don't just save it. You should give it to me. Let me have it for the next 40 years. And I can't guarantee it, but I think I might be able to give you back more, but I can't promise that. And I might eat some of it while I have it, but it's better than not doing that, right? Like imagine how weird that conversation would be. So this guy was like, hey, your message is different. So if my message for you as you're watching this right now is different financially, what I would like you to do is go ahead and grab the book, scan the QR code. It's completely free. You cover the shipping. That's my deal. You cover the shipping. And for those of you that are like, oh, you're making money on the book, we actually lose money on the book. Okay, by the time we print it and all the stuff and the staff I have employed to send it out to you, we lose money on the book. When you spend the shipping, we still lose money. There's no profit to be made on this. This is literally my gift to you, right? So grab the book, read it, and if you want to get more information after you read it, reach out to my team. Say, I want to learn more about the university. I want to learn more about that sacred account. And I want to learn more about how I can be extracting more from the value pool in comparison to what I'm putting into it. Guys, thank you for watching. That's all I've got for you this evening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions, and I will see you next